My name is Sandra Valencia, and today I will inform you about feminicide in the city of Juarez, Chihuahua, Mexico. Impunity is a key continued feminicide in the city of Juarez, according to Patricia Revelo, a documentary researcher for films. Feminicide has been occurring for more than a decade now in the city of Juarez, of Chihuahua, Mexico. There is women missing, murdered, and their uncooperative government officials are creating a community that believes is controlled by the drug cartel organizations. Now, Juarez today is a repercussion of impunity. Now, I will discuss three topics that I believe are important and that I have chosen. First, I will inform you what feminicide is, where it's occurring, and who are the victims. Second, I will educate you about the uncooperative government officials, which are the police officers. And third, I will inform you about the drug cartel organizations, its links to La Línea, and where Juarez is today. Now I will inform you of what feminicide is, where it's occurring, and who are the victims. Now, feminicide is the killing of women by men, and it's particularly done based on because of their gender, according to the dictionary Lennox Oxford. According to NACLA, this is occurring in Juarez, Chihuahua, Mexico. Now, who are the victims? The victims are the vast majority of these victims are migrant workers from northern border states of Mexico. For example, people from Durango, Oaxaca, and Pueblo that are migrating to this city between, according to the UN population estimation, they began to migrate to the city between 1994 and the early 2000s. Now, between 1993 and the early 2017, from all the women reported missing, 1,500 women are found dead and murdered in deserts of Juarez. Now, according to NACLA, Claudia Yvette Jimenez was one of the women amongst the seven bodies found, and she was only found in bones and given back to her mom in bones. Now, I feel obligated to educate everyone about these women so they will never be forgotten. Now, impunity is the act of exemption from the punishment of freedom from the injurious consequences of action. The uncooperative government officials, according to World Courts TM, had led the mother of Claudia Yvette Gonzalez to lead her case up to the International American Court of Rights because they neglected any strong evidence to truly find the correct murderers of her daughter Claudia. They linked two bus drivers, according to Evelyn Menes, a journalist who wrote the article To Work and Die in Juarez. They accused two bus drivers that were brutally beaten to confess a fraudulent confession, which led Claudia's mother to push this case to the International Courts of Human Rights. Now, these two bus drivers, according to Evelyn, were not the true killers of these seven women alongside that were found next to Claudia, and because of this injustice, Mario Escobedo, which was a very powerful lawyer, ended up being a father of three girls, according to Evelyn, wanted to take in this case into his hands. Unfortunately, the uncooperative government officials were not okay with that and ended up murdering him in plain daylight. Now, I cannot relate to these women, but I can relate to this corrupt system of government officials, and it doesn't coincide with what we're living today. But I can just imagine the emotions that these families are feeling, with the emotions that we are currently feeling today, with these brutally murders that are occurring by our police officers today. Now, unfortunately, feminicide has become a normality in the city of Juarez. Women that are being murdered and dumped is normal for these citizens of Juarez, unfortunately. So for me, I kind of related to abuse. If you've ever lived in a household of abuse or been involved in an abusive relationship, you find this normal. You become normal and immune to these crucial acts. This city has now become normal to these horrific acts of feminicide. And according to Alfredo Carchon, which is a journalist and was a guest speaker to the podcast Forgotten Women of Juarez, he was able to incorporate himself in this world of injustice. And he himself finds Juarez to be a home, so he took this matter really personal, according to him. And in episodes 6, 7, and 8, he explains how he was able to captivate and gain information of an inner source that relates to how these feminicide acts are occurring. So he links this to the drug cartel organization and the connections to La Línea. He states that he was able to interview a gentleman that was an ex-drug dealer for these cartel organizations, which was owned by Vicente Murillo at the time. Vicente Carrillo. Unfortunately, the link that helped him connect to this ex-drug cartel is also murdered now, which was a lawyer and they for these drug cartels organizations, and his name he went by El Demonio. So he states that this connection informed him that vast majority of these women missing have been kidnapped by the police officers themselves and taken to events of celebration for businesses being accomplished by the drug cartel organizations. And because they know so much information, they are eventually murdered and being murdered and dumped in the deserts because they know too much. Now, no one is speaking about this because they have connections to La Línea. La Línea is who controls the border and controls the city and are considered to be metidos. Why? Because they have no choice. You either get murdered by the drug cartel or you become a police officer that's a metido and cooperates with these drug cartel organizations. Now, according to Alfredo, this is an ongoing circle because nobody has been able to destroy the drug cartel organizations that are controlling La Línea. So La Línea, and why I mention La Línea? Because the drug cartel organizations control La Línea, because obviously the drugs are being transported into these countries, for example, America now, and there is no control of ending this circle that is, creating feminicide for this community. Now, Juarez today, unfortunately, has not settled for a resolution. Women, according to Thomas, who is also a journalist for Al Dia News, states that women are still being murdered. Isabel Canavillas was an activist who was just murdered in January. And thanks to that, though, they have started an activist foundation to push feminicide, the ending of feminicide, not only in Juarez but in entire Mexico. Now, according to Thomas, 64 women were murdered in Juarez between the end of 2019 and the beginning of January 1st, 2020. In April 24, 2020, 24 women were murdered. So basically, there is an average of 4 women a day in 2019 that were being murdered. So, in conclusion, today I have to, so I just informed you about, I just gave you a lot of information about feminicide, and I know that it was very difficult for you to capture, but I feel and I hope that you took little bits and parts of this information for you to continue to deliver this message to the country and inform about these horrific feminicides that are continuing to happen in Juarez, Mexico, and in all over Mexico. The vast majority of us come from this country, and we ourselves are obligated to continue to push the culture, and I feel obligated that we should inform and educate one another of these horrific acts that continue to happen in our homeland. Now, in conclusion, I informed you about what feminicide is, where it's occurring, and who are the victims. Second, I informed you about the uncooperative government officials. And third, I informed you about the drug cartel organizations La Línea and where Juarez is today. So I thank you for listening to my informative speech. I hope that I hope that you captured a lot of information that I provided you. And my name is Sandra Valencia Lopez, and thank you for listening to my speech.